Mr. Money wasn't kidding that he was going to be in his backyard all day. He's making a bunch of noise and fixing things.
It's kind of like a lava lamp.
Yep.
Very relaxing. Beauty and the Beak. How science, technology, and a 3D printed beak rescued a bald eagle, by Deborah Lee Rose and Jane Veltkamp. In a huge nest of twigs high above an icy cold Alaskan river, a bald eagle chick cracked open her egg. For 2 days the baby eagle had scraped her beak against the inside of the eggshell. Now she pushed hard with her head till the eggshell split open. She was out. The cold wind swept over the large eagle nest, perched in a tall old tree. The eaglet was covered only in thin gray and white down. She shivered in the freezing air until her mother tucked the baby under her own warm body. Oh, look at that. Even before the eagle chick could see, she started to take bits of fish from her parents' beaks into her beak. Soon her wings became longer and stronger. In 1 month, she could see, stand on her own, and begin to tear food with her own beak. By 6 weeks, she was almost as big as her parents, with a wingspan of more than 6 feet. Bit by bit, her body became covered with the thousands of feathers she would need to fly and keep warm. She used her beak to preen her feathers every day. She cleaned and smoothed them, shifted them to stay warm or cool off, and waterproofed them with oil from a gland near her tail. By early summer, the young eagle watched while other eagles soared and swooped over the river. One day, she was hopping and flapping around the nest when a sudden gust of wind lifted her into the air. For a moment, she was flying. All summer, she took longer and longer flights. In time, she learned to hunt fish from the river, but when winter came again, the river surface froze. Now the eagle had to search far from home to find food and open water that was not frozen. She flew thousands of miles, soaring over mountains and valleys, cities and farms, always on the lookout for new sources of food. Older and stronger eagles sometimes chased or attacked her if she flew through their territory. The older eagle would lock talons with her. Then the two birds would spin like a helicopter down through the sky until she let go and flew away. Once the eagle found safer territory with plenty of prey, she became a powerful hunter. From high in the sky, she spotted fish swimming in shallow water. Then she dove down and sped over the water with her feet thrust out in front of her. She grabbed her prey by locking her sharp talons in place and carried off the fish she had caught. By the time she was 4 years old, the eagle's head and tail feathers started to turn white. Her beak and eyes began to turn golden yellow. At last, she was ready for the long trip back to the river where she had learned to fly. There, she would find a mate. Together, they would use their beaks to build and shape a nest of twigs where they could raise their own eaglets. When the eagle reached the river, she swooped down to catch a silvery salmon from the fast-moving water. The fish was so heavy she couldn't lift it. She clenched her talons tightly around it and swam to shore, using her wings like oars to row. The eagle was so hungry she ate every bit of fish, ripping off bite after bite of food with her sharp-hooked beak. Then she flew to a thick tree branch to rest and preen her feathers. Suddenly, a crash of lightning like lightning and thunder split the air. The eagle's face burned. She couldn't see. Her talons lost their grip, and the tree seemed to spin around her. She fell to the ground, stunned. The sun was still high in the sky, but the eagle's world went dark. A bullet had shattered her beak. Her eye was torn, and her face was bleeding. It even hurt for her to breathe. The eagle lay on the ground for days, too weak to move. As time passed, she recovered enough to walk a short distance, but she could not fly or hunt. Now she had no top beak with which to preen her feathers or tear her food. Her tongue was open to the air and dried out. She could barely scoop up water to drink. Each day the eagle grew weaker. She was starving. A policeman found her at a landfill trying to peck for food among the garbage. She wasn't strong enough to fight. He was able to wrap her in a blanket and take her to a wildlife center. There, the people cleaned and bandaged her wounded face and gave her medicine to stop any infection. They named her Beauty. Beauty's injuries took many months to heal, but her beak didn't grow back. She couldn't eat or drink without human help. Wildlife Center had no room to keep her any longer, and in the wild she would die. Look at that sweet little face.
John Rubin.
One day, a visitor came, a raptor biologist named Janie. Janie's job was to help sick and injured birds and prey like eagles, owls, hawks, falcons, and ospreys. As soon as she saw Beauty, Janie knew she had to find a way to give the eagle a new beak. Janie took Beauty to her raptor center in Idaho. She and some volunteers built an outdoor aviary as big as a school bus. There, Beauty could live and take short flights. Janie traveled all around teaching people about raptors and sharing Beauty's story. An engineer named Nate came with his daughter to hear Janie speak. When Janie shared her idea of making a prosthetic beak that would look and move like Beauty's real beak, Nate said,
Wellness. Getting your daily dose of nutrients doesn't have to be messy.
When Janie shared her idea of making a prosthetic beak that would look and move like Beauty's real beak, Nate said, I think I can help you with Beauty. Nate had never worked with animals, but he and Janie both knew that bioengineers made replacement body parts for humans. First, Janie got her own dentist assistants, Carol and Corey, to make dental molds that showed the exact shape of Beauty's broken beak. With a laser scanner, Nate took measurements from those dental molds and from a model of a female bald eagle's skull. Putting all of the measurements together, he used computer code to design the new beak's shape and how it would fit. Nate printed out the beak on a 3D printer. The printer made the beak from Nate's computer design, building up layer upon layer of melted plastic that hardened into shape. Janie chose the color golden yellow for the prosthetic beak to make Beauty look as she did in the wild. Sweet bird, look at that. Yes, they're working hard. After hundreds of hours of work and many tests to fit the beak perfectly, the big day came to attach it. Janie wrapped Beauty's wings to keep her from moving. For 3 hours, Janie never left Beauty's side. This time, Nate's own dentist, Ryan, had come to help attach the new beak. He and Janie put a small metal rod into Beauty's upper beak. The rod would anchor the new beak in place. But just when they were ready to glue the beak on, Beauty started to struggle. Her wings were so strong, she burst open the wrap around them. She thrashed her wings, trying to fly away. I think she was frightened. "You're all right, big girl. We're here to help you," said Janie. She stroked Beauty's feathers to calm her. Beauty looked straight at Janie and quieted down. When Beauty was still, they tried the beak on again. Janie could see that Beauty's tongue wasn't moving right. Ryan had to use his dentist's grinding tool to carve out more space on the inside of the beak. Finally, everything was ready. Ryan spread dental glue on the broken edge of Beauty's beak. Then he slid the new beak onto the metal rod. Janie held the beak tightly in place until the glue dried. So amazing. When she took her hands away, the 3D printed beak looked almost as real as Beauty's own beak. But would the new beak work? Janie knew Beauty was very thirsty after her hours of surgery. Janie unwrapped Beauty's wings and carried her back to the aviary, setting her on her drinking perch. Beauty didn't hesitate. For the first time since she had been shot, she leaned down, scooped up a beak full of water, and threw back her head and swallowed, just like an eagle in the wild. Aw, I love these stories. Where is Beauty today? Beauty lives at Birds of Prey Northwest, the raptor facility Janie founded in northern Idaho. Beauty looks over a large lake from her aviary, which is among the aviaries of many other eagles and raptors in Janie's care. Beauty can never return to the wild because she cannot survive without care and help from humans. It takes 3 people together to preen her feathers, trim the feathers around her damaged eye, and clip her talons. Her food, strips of meat and fish, and her water are set out specially every day so she can eat and drink on her own. Does Beauty still wear the prosthetic beak? Beauty's real beak has been slowly regenerating or growing back and changing shape a tiny bit at a time. Now the prosthetic beak is no longer fits. Scientists know very little about how a bald eagle's beak grows naturally after it has been badly damaged, or if it can grow back completely. Janie has been measuring and photographing Beauty's natural beak as it grows. This new scientific data could help scientists understand more about raptor biology. Beauty's beak and other prosthetic devices. Janie was determined that Beauty's new prosthetic beak should look natural and work like her real beak. While the new beak was in place, Beauty was able to use it to pre-cut food, to drink, and to preen or groom her feathers. However, the new beak was not as strong as the real eagle beak and could not bear the tremendous force required for an eagle to rip pieces of food from its prey. The color for the material used in 3D printing the beak was chosen to make the beak look as natural as possible. The prosthetic beak's bald eagle yellow color is actually a 1970s car color. New developments in science and engineering are leading to all kinds of prosthetic parts that can bend, flex, absorb force, and work very much like real body parts. depending on the need and the type of patient, whether human or other kind of animal. Engineering a replacement body part may bring together experts from many different fields and careers. Experts may include engineers, doctors, and other health professionals, computer programmers, biologists, veterinarians, and scientists who invent new materials. Thanks to 3D printing, families and teachers, students, and human patients themselves are also designing prosthetic body parts. A person may need a prosthetic limb if he or she was born without that limb or lost the limb because of a disease or an accident. Soldiers and civilians hurt in war may also need prosthetic limbs. Affordable 3D printers are making some prosthetic limbs much less expensive and more available around the world. For example, children who need prosthetic hands can now more easily get new, properly sized hands as their bodies grow. People who live far from hospitals or prosthetic clinics no longer need to wait months or years for replacement limbs. The bald eagle as U.S. symbol. The bald eagle is part of the Great Seal of the United States. The seal became official on June 20th, 1782, and in 1789 the bald eagle was named the U.S. national bird. Its image is also on the U.S. presidential seal, U.S. currency like this quarter, and many other places. U.S. Apollo 11. The U.S. Apollo 11 spacecraft was carried a lunar landing module called Eagle. When the lunar module landed on the moon's surface on July 20th, 1969, astronaut Neil Armstrong radioed from the module to NASA Mission Control in Houston, quote, "The Eagle has landed," end quote. The Apollo 11 mission patch on the astronaut spacesuits showed a spread-winged bald eagle landing on the moon. A note from raptor biologist Janie Veldkamp. The bald eagle is the national symbol of the United States, but when these eagles are hurt, whose job is it to rescue and care for them and other birds of prey? I believe it's a responsibility we all share. What humans have learned from the harm done to bald eagles in the past, especially from use of the insect spray DDT, is an important reminder for us today. Eagles and other birds of prey are bioindicators or sentinels of the health of the environment. This means that they show the effects of harm to the environment before humans are affected and tell us how well we are caring for the planet. Once a threatened and endangered species, bald eagles have made a remarkable comeback. Humans, the very species that put bald eagles in harm's way, are now working to protect them. And that's from Janie Veldkamp, Birds of Prey, Northwest, Idaho. Janie Veldkamp cares for beauty and other raptors under permit from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. About bald eagles. Species name, I can't even pronounce that. Bald eagles are one of 10 species of sea eagle or fish eagle. Bald eagle, stellar sea eagle, white-tailed eagle, Pallas's fish eagle, Sanford's sea eagle, white-bellied sea eagle, African fish eagle, Madagascar fish eagle, lesser fish eagle, and gray-headed fish eagle. Wild bald eagles are found only in North America, in all U.S. states except Hawaii. They are also found in Canada and northern Mexico. Bald eagles nest and migrate along rivers, lakes, reservoirs, and other freshwater bodies and coastal ocean waters. In deepest winter, large numbers fly to places where the water hasn't frozen and there's plenty of food. When food and water become limited, bald eagles must share their territory and will gather in groups of sometimes more than 100. Large gatherings of bald eagles are called convocations. Wings and feathers. Bald eagles reach adult size at just 6 to 8 weeks old. with a wingspan of 6 to 7 feet, which is about 2 meters wide. A female Alaskan bald eagle like Beauty is one of Earth's largest birds. Female bald eagles are always larger than males. This helps the females incubate their eggs and defend their nests from predators. Bald eagles weigh only about 9 to 14 pounds, or 4 to 6 kilograms. This is because they have hollow bones and air sacs throughout their bodies, as do all birds. Their lighter body, hollow bones, broad wings, and thousands of feathers help them overcome gravity for flight. Bald eagles aren't bald. Balde means white in Old English and refers to the color of adult bald eagles' head feathers. The eagles start out with fluffy gray down, which is replaced by mottled dark brown and white feathers. At this young stage, they're often mistaken for golden eagles, the only other North American eagle species. By 5 years of age, an adult bald eagle's body feathers are charcoal black, and its head and tail feathers are white. Adult bald eagles have 7,000 to 8,000 feathers. They keep warm or cool by off-shifting their feathers to let more or less air between the feather layers. A bald eagle preens or grooms its feathers with its beak. It does so by splitting open hard quills, narrow tubes that hold new feathers, opening up the feathers, smoothing the feathers into interlocking layers, and spreading oil from a gland near its tail throughout its feathers to waterproof them. Bald eagles have 7 more bones in their neck than humans. This makes the eagle's neck extra flexible, so the eagle can reach all its feathers with its beak. When the eagle sleeps, it turns its head towards the back of its body and covers its head with a feather to keep it warm. This can make a sleeping bald eagle look like it has no head. Bald eagles shed or molt their feathers every year over several months. As old feathers are shed, new feathers replace them. Native Americans highly prize eagle feathers, which are very important to their tribal cultures. Native Americans are the only people in the U.S. who are legally allowed to have eagle feathers. Naturally, molted feathers collected from eagles are used in the making of fans, headdresses, and other accessories for tribal ceremonies. Janie Veldkamp works with the Coeur d'Alene tribe in the Pacific Northwest, training tribal members to house and care for eagles that cannot be returned to the wild so that their molted feathers can be used by the tribe. Even before it hatches, a baby bald eagle uses a sharp tooth on its tiny beak to crack open the eggshell from inside. The tooth disappears a few weeks later. The bald eagle's beak is made of keratin and other bird beaks, and as are other bird beaks and human fingernails. An eagle sheds and replaces its beak's outer layer throughout its life. After eating, a bald eagle rubs its beak against a tree branch or a rock where it's feeding. This behavior, called faking, keeps the beak in perfect shape. Nest. Bald eagles mate for life and may return to the same eyrie or nest year after year. Some nests have been used for more than 100 years by many generations of one bald eagle family. A bald eagle nest is the largest nest of any North American bird. An old nest can weigh over 1,000 pounds. Bald eagles build their tornado-shaped nests in tall trees where a thick branch meets the tree trunk and creates a Y. An eagle carries twigs to the nest using its feet and weaves the twigs in an interlocking pattern using its beak. Eagles may add sticks until the nest is an average of 6 to 8 feet wide. Oh my goodness. They line the nest with moss, leaves, and other soft materials. An eagle family uses the nest for 3 months. The female lays her eggs, and both parents sit on the eggs to incubate them. Bald eagle parents feed and take care of their young in the nest until the eaglets fly off to hunt on their own. The parents may leave the nest to migrate or stay nearby until the next breeding season. Flight. When eagles are about 10 to 12 weeks old, they fledge, take their first short flight, returning to the nest after each flight. If a young eagle can't get back to the nest and lands on another branch or the ground, it lets out a special food-begging cry. This alerts the parents to bring food to wherever the eaglet is. Parents feed the young eagle there until it's ready to try again to fly back to the nest. Adult bald eagles fly so high that even pilots of commercial airplanes have seen the eagles in their flight path. Bald eagles can soar for hours, barely flapping their broad, plane-like wings as they ride on rising currents of warm air called thermals. These are created when sunlight heats the ground, warms the ground, and the warm ground heats the air, and the warm air rises. Depending on their prey, bald eagles use different flight patterns for hunting. A bald eagle can streak down through the sky at 100 miles per hour, or the eagle can fly low and slow over water, feet thrust out in front to snatch up fish right out of the water. Feet. Bald eagles grab live prey with sharp talons on their feet. They clamp their talons around the prey by tightening muscles and tendons in their feet and lower legs. Once the tendons tighten, they ratchet or lock in place bit by bit. This keeps the talons clenched as long as the eagle needs to hold its prey or a perching branch. Bald eagle feet have another adaptation for hunting: sticky, bumpy pads called spicules on the bottoms. Spicules help an eagle hold onto a slippery fish while the talons are locking in place. As the pads wear away, new ones grow in to replace them. Eyes. All raptors, including owls, hawks, falcons, ospreys, and especially eagles, are known for their keen eyesight. That's why they come up with eagle eye. A bald eagle's eyeballs are much smaller than a human's, but a bald eagle has 8 times the power to see details over long distances. From high in the air, bald eagles can spot fish swimming in shallow water. Bald eagles see forward and to the side at the same time. Though its eyeballs don't move, the eagle can rotate its head to see a wide visual range. Eagles see in color, unlike owls, which are nocturnal and only see in black and white. A bald eagle's color vision helps its prey even when the prey is camouflaged. Endangered no longer. 500,000 bald eagles once lived in North America, but by the 1970s they were headed toward extinction in the U.S., lower 48 states. They had been hunted by humans for hundreds of years and been harmed by the use of insecticide called DDT, which was widely used to kill mosquitoes and insects that fed on crops and gardens. Before DDT was finally banned from the use in the U.S. in 1972, it had contaminated streams, rivers, lakes, and other bodies of water, as well as the organisms living there. When eagles ate contaminated fish or other animals, they produced eggshells so thin that the shells broke before the eaglets inside could hatch. The DDT caused a reduction in the amount of calcium contained in the shells. The same eggshell thinning problem affected ospreys and peregrine falcons. In her famous book, Silent Spring, environmentalist Rachel Carson wrote that DDT was so dangerous to the eagle population it might make it necessary for us to find a new national emblem. By 1967, bald eagles were a protected species. 47 years later, in 2007, they were taken off the endangered and threatened species list. Their recovery was helped by protection from the Endangered Species Act and the end of DDT use in the U.S. To conserve bald eagles, their populations had to be protected and rebuilt. Biologists launched a nationwide effort to help bring back bald eagles in places where they had nearly or completely disappeared. The biologists relocated hundreds of eaglets from places where bald eagles were not endangered, like Alaska, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and parts of Canada, to the many U.S. states where the number of eagles was critically low. The biologists moved the eaglets when they were about 4 to 6 weeks old, before the birds had learned to fly. In their new regions, the eaglets were kept in protected artificial nests on special towers. Biologists took on the role of eagle parents, though staying out of sight to make sure the eaglets had food and water and were safe from any predators. The eaglets imprinted on their new habitats and took their first flights there. When they became adults, they nested and raised their families not where they themselves had hatched, but where they had learned to fly. Eagles are still at risk. Bald eagles keep their ecosystem in balance by hunting other live animals. Bald eagles are top predators, but if a young eagle can't learn to hunt, it will die. Some 70% of young bald eagles don't survive their first year. Even if they do survive, they still face many dangers. Bald eagles are protected by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, but their natural behaviors put them at risk from human activity and technology. Soaring and perching eagles are easy targets for poachers. Shooting an eagle is against the U.S. law, but illegal shooting is a leading cause of bald eagle deaths. Bald eagles can get hurt or killed when they collide with power lines, cars, or trains. Bald eagles are also scavengers. Eagles that feed on dead animals by the roadside may collide with moving cars while still trying to fly out of the way. If an eagle or other raptor feeds on an animal that was shot with a lead bullet, the eagle ends up digesting tiny bits of lead along with the meat. Over time, the digested lead particles poison the eagle and harm its nervous system. This makes the bird lose its balance and ability to fly. Lead poisoning can kill an eagle slowly over a period of weeks. Eagles also get poisoned if they eat rodents killed with rodent poison, or poisoned meat used as bait to kill other wildlife such as wolves and coyotes. When bald eagles need care. If you find a wounded, sick, or stranded bald eagle or other raptor, contact a raptor rehabilitation center, wildlife center, or state wildlife agency. The sooner a raptor gets proper care, the greater its chance of surviving. The raptor rehabilitation centers like Birds of Prey Northwest, as well as some wildlife centers, rescue and give medical treatment to hurt and sick bald eagles. Some eagles recovering can go back into the wild. Eagles that can't be released may live at the center because they're too disabled to fly and hunt and need special care. How you can help. You may be able to volunteer to help at a raptor or wildlife center, or you can become a member to support the center. You can ask your teacher or parent to invite a raptor educator to speak at your school or community event. Have the educator bring a live bald eagle or other raptor if possible. Your words and actions can help keep bald eagles and other raptors safe from loss of wild habitat, illegal poaching, poisoning, and environmental hazards. Support efforts to protect eagles and raptors by posting on social media and sending letters, emails, and tweets to community and government leaders, public agencies, wildlife organizations, and news media. There's a ton of resources, which I will just leave this here. You can screenshot it. There's so much out there on caring and protecting bald eagles. Where you can learn more, here's some QR codes and for audio and some visuals. You can watch an eagle cam. You can download something to color. You can hear the bird sounds and then the habitats. And there's just some more resource information. Websites. Bird app. Photo credits. Acknowledgements. The authors, Deborah Lee Rose and Jane Veldkamp. Doing great work. Beauty and the Beak.